after listening about Drigdrishya Viveka that the relationship between the reflected consciousness and ego is natural, and that the relationship of the reflected consciousness and consciousness with the capital C, or Brahman, is one of illusion. When I try to apply this principle in times of despair and discount the fact that I am the body-mind, it does give me satisfaction to know that the insults or slights being hurled are not towards the real me. But then will I not have to write off also the love that my immediate family may have for me? Because even that is to my untrue self. What is the meaning or value of the love my family has towards me if it is not towards the real me?
Okay, good. Nicely trapped. Let me explain the background first. If those who have seen Drigdrishya Viveka, you may or may not remember. But it's a very interesting part of the text, Drigdrishya Viveka. Drigdrishya Viveka is an introductory text for Advaita Vedanta. This is the discrimination or the discernment of the seer and the seen. The seer being ultimately. Right now the seer is, I am the seer, you are all the seen. But ultimately when we investigate, upon investigation we realize the seer is ultimately consciousness or awareness. That's what experiences everything. And everything else is an object to the seer, the objects which appear to consciousness. Now in that book, there's a very interesting sequence where the author is helping us to pin down or to point out, not pin down, you can't pin it down, but you can point it out, what you are. And the way to do that, what he does that in that book is, what's the last thing that we can become aware of? It is the ego. Last thing means the most subtlest thing about myself. And if I go from the body to the breath to the mind and my intellect, my memories, my ideas, feelings, everything, go further and further, deeper and deeper, it all boils back to I. I. The sense of I. Then that's the ego. That's not the true self. That's the ego. And that ego feels aware. Right now, just check for yourself. I am, yes. And is it aware? Yes, of course. This awareness reflected in the ego, in the mind, but in the ego especially, this is the subtlest thing that we can be aware of. And this awareness is called reflected consciousness or reflected awareness. In Sanskrit, Chidabhasa. Our real nature is awareness, pure consciousness, pure awareness. In Sanskrit, Chit. Abhasa means shadow, reflection. So Chidabhasa means reflection of that pure consciousness. So this reflection of the pure consciousness, now the author tells us, center yourself there. I am, and this awareness which I feel. Now, what's the connection of this awareness to the body? And the author, the questioner has written, the book, as you said in the book says, this ego, the awareness in the ego, the reflected consciousness and the body, they are connected by birth. It's natural. As long as the body lives, this I, this aware I, this conscious I will feel, I am the body. Right now we feel that. Or at least I am embodied. Or at least this is my body. This is natural. Why do you say natural? Because it starts with birth. The moment the I comes to awareness, it also comes to awareness of itself embodied in this body. And it will end with death. When the body dies, people who have near-death experiences, and if you read the accounts floating up from the body, then they clearly have, Vedanta will say, aha, so you are where? I am in the ceiling, floating up from the body, and the doctors are trying to revive the body. So clearly you are not the body. What happens at death is this natural link between yourself and the body is snapped. The body becomes an object to you. It always was an object, by the way. But at that point, that link is snapped. You are not this body. If you're born again, in the biological way. I'm born again as in other ways of being born again. Okay, I can't resist this. I saw a cartoon so there are born again Christians. This is a born again Christian talking to a Hindu. He's saying, I am a born again Christian. And the Hindu says, I am a born again and again and again and again Hindu. Say born. In that case, the body, the reflected consciousness will get a natural connection to the new body, the baby's body in which it is embodied. So it's a natural connection. The whole point is, this I, if you feel the I, it has a natural connection with this body. It won't go until this body dies. Okay, what else? The connection, the connection between the mind, the ego, and the reflected consciousness is sahajam. That it comes up, whenever the ego comes up, consciousness will be reflected in it. So the term we used for the connection between the reflected consciousness and the body is karmajam or karmajanyam, born of our past karmas. As soon as the past karmas for this body are exhausted, this body will die and your connection with this body will end. And the connection between the mind, especially the ego, and into which this consciousness is reflected right now, that is called sahajam, natural. It's like a mirror and the face reflected in the mirror. If you have a mirror in front of you, automatically your face will be reflected in the mirror. Automatically you'll see a reflection coming in the mirror. If you take the mirror away, no reflection. If you bring the mirror back, again reflection. So this consciousness which we feel right now is like the consciousness reflected in the mirror of the I. Neither the I means the ego, neither the I is the true I, nor is this consciousness reflected in the I, the true consciousness. Just like neither am I the mirror, nor am I the face reflected in the mirror. Who am I? Here. Now, finally, what this question has written. The third thing that was pointed out in Drigdrishya Vivek, and most important, what Vedanta wants to point out. You're not the body. It will come and go with your past karma. You are not the mind. Whenever the mind comes up, you will find yourself reflected in the mind, consciousness reflected in the mind. But who am I truly? The question is posed very precisely. It's forensic in its precision. This ego, which we are all aware of, and it's the final thing, the closest to the self. Most of us, almost always, we take the ego as the self. But remember, according to Vedanta, the ego is like the face, is like the mirror. And the consciousness in the ego is like the face reflected in the mirror. And you are truly neither the mirror nor the face reflected in the mirror. You are the real face. You are the real consciousness, the actual consciousness. So the question now is, what is the link between pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, witness consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Turiya, Chit, Sakshi, whatever you want to call it, the real consciousness, and the consciousness that we feel right now, the reflected consciousness in the ego. What's the link? Why do we want to know that? If we know that, we can snap the link. Or at the very least, we can follow the link back to ourselves and answer the question, who am I? Is this question clear? The placing of the question. It's subtle, it's precise, it's very forensic. If the question is clear, now the operation can start, snapping the link between ourselves and our false notion of body-mind. You have to know where to snap it. You can't cut it anywhere. You'll be a terrible surgeon if you do that. Vedanta is a good surgeon, cuts at the right place. That old story about somebody was called to repair a machine, a complicated, sophisticated machine. I read the joke in Reader's Digest. This expert was called in. Nobody could repair it in-house. The expert was called in. He looked at the machine, big, complicated piece of machinery. He went to a particular spot and he gave it a kick and started working. And then said, what's your bill? And he gave the bill, $1,000. And the manager was furious. He said, $1,000 for a kick? Could you please give me an itemized breakdown? Of what is it that you have done? What are the items? So he wrote, the mechanic wrote back saying that here is the itemized bill, that $1 for the kick and $999 to know where to kick. So Vedanta tells you where exactly to look, and then the snip, the operation is very easy. So what is the link between the ego and the consciousness reflected in the ego, which we must center ourselves in right now, and the real consciousness? To help you with this, imagine the mirror, your face reflected in the mirror, and the real mirror. It's exactly like that. It's almost exactly like that. What's the link between this face and the face reflected in the mirror? What's the link? Nothing. There's no link. Link means if I think I am that face in the mirror, and you tell me you are not that, you're the real face, and I'm trying to help me out here. What's the link between me and the so-called real face? You'll say there's no link. If you think there is a link, it's born of error, it's born of foolishness. In Sanskrit, Bhranti Janyam. The link between this ego and the consciousness in the ego and you, the real consciousness, is born of error. There's no link. There's no link. As one sadhu put it beautifully, in Hindi, straightforward, bluntly. He said, Bevkufi matra hai Mahatma ji. It's only foolishness which ties you to this body-mind. Now, this is all background. This is already the questionnaire has got it all. I am the witness consciousness, not linked to body and mind. Great, it helps me in times when my mind is unhappy, body is sick, people are insulting me. Then, okay, it works. Ramana Maharshi, I've told you the story, I read it once, that somebody wrote an article criticizing him and sent him a copy. And Ramana Maharshi, in those days before X and Facebook and all, nowadays you can instantly criticize a person and trolling, yes. So somebody trolled Ramana Maharshi and sent him a copy. And Ramana Maharshi sat down and diligently corrected the grammar and the spelling, improved it and sent it back to him. And then somebody asked, but Maharshi, he's criticizing you. And Ramana Maharshi said, no, he isn't. He's criticizing some fellow called Ramana. If somebody criticizes the mirror, and that mirror is twisted, broken, and the face in that is cracked and not clear, what is it to you? What is it to you? So he says, it works, good. But now, the question is, so insults I can handle. Problems, maybe in the physical body also, some type of pain, aches, I can handle. It's an object, it's there. I'm aware of it, that's it. But what about love? What about praise? People like me, my own family, they love me, they cherish me. Isn't that also a love or the cherishing of the false self? Okay, pay attention here. It's a good question. It's an entry into the value of Advaita. What does Advaita do for you, especially in relation to love? Notice, if you think like this, if I think like this, we want love then. What am I missing? I am missing the love of, I'm worried, the love of my family, those are beloved to me, those who like me very much. Is that love then empty? Suppose it is, have you lost anything? If we are demanding love from others, we are very much in our personality, limited body-mind personality. If we crave appreciation and love from others, why would you do that? You are literally those others. You're literally those others. You not only love them, you are one with them, every one of them. For Ramana Maharshi, the person in front of him, his devotee, and the person who wrote a critical article trolled him, both are equally not only beloved, they are one with him. If you realize yourself as this witness consciousness, you are as vast as the sky. The sky accepts everything, gives resistance to nothing in this universe, because it is you. This is far greater than any love. Not only greater, it will be expressed as love, as unconditional love. Not just love of a beloved person, not just love of a family, not just the admiration of an admirer, Facebook like. Not just that, much more than that. This is genuine oneness with others. So if they love you and do not love you, it doesn't matter. You love them anyway. And you are happy in that. If they love you, yes, their love is towards the personality which you are. But that personality itself, is that love misplaced? Not really. The personality is a projection of yourself. They unknowingly, they are loving you, but they're loving the mask which is in front of you. Good. That's fine. It's not really ultimately misplaced. No love is ultimately misplaced. Hatred is misplaced. Vivekananda, in Lahore at that time, he was traveling, and another newspaper editor trolled him, wrote something critical about him. Vivekananda was sitting in a group of people praising that editor. And then somebody said, but Swamiji, are you aware? He has written an article criticizing you. And Swami Vivekananda said, what do you mean? I cannot recognize the good character of a person just because he is saying a few critical things about me? So this is where you are fine with the criticism of others and with the love of others. You love them regardless. Because you're endlessly confident, you're decisively confident in your real nature as limitless existence, limitless consciousness, limitless bliss. Your cup is overflowing. What could you want? What could anybody add to it? Yes. Anybody here wants to ask a question? Please come.